Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who is a cynic. Hope you're doing well, and today you just knew that I had to talk about this story. And so this is something that's been blowing up in the news recently about how people have been complaining, saying, oh my god guys, did y'all know that we did a study and the study says that the figures show from Time's Up, because I believe that organization, right? Because I believe that, you know, no political motivations there with that movement, but according to them, they've shared the figures which reveal only 4% of the biggest earning films from the past decade have been directed by women. Oh no. Now, I had to talk about this because this is just absolutely ridiculous when you think about it, because they're trying to use really bloated statistics. Like, you see this happen a lot when they talk about, for example, the pay gap. You know, you've heard about that constantly, when in reality it's a myth. And if you still don't agree with that, just go ahead and look it up for yourself. Just Google pay gap myth and they will give you all the actual stats, all the actual data there. Now, am I saying that there isn't that there aren't some people out there that break the law and discriminate based on someone's gender or race? No, I'm not saying that. That definitely happens. But guess what? As I just said, it's already against the law. There are 3 different laws already on the books that make it illegal to pay somebody differently just because of their gender or their race. So everyone that's trying to push for certain political agendas and certain political laws here in the United States, at least, you know, they need to learn their own laws, because guess what? It is already illegal for them to do so. So for all the House representatives trying to say, we're going to pass this new law, and if you don't agree with it, then you're a sexist. No, the reason why people don't want to vote for it mostly is because there's no need to vote for it. There really is no need for it, because guess what? It's already against the law. It is already illegal to do so. And not only that, but the myth itself is still prevalent. It is still indeed a myth, as is this figure right here, 4%. Well, here's the thing. When you're just looking at big budget films, and of course, I'm sure that they've already stipulated, well, this is what we consider to be a big earning movie, and so therefore we're going to discredit any other films, and we're going to get to this arbitrary number, and then we're going to challenge the 4% challenge. If you can just, you know, raise those numbers up a little bit, that's what we're looking for. We want 4% of the biggest earning films. Here's the thing with that. You cannot determine what film is going to be a big earner. You cannot say, oh, studios, you need to make this right. The studios don't have really the power to do so, because guess what? Just because you put a lot of money behind a movie and make the director arbitrarily a female, which is apparently what you want the studios to do, that doesn't mean it's going to be successful. One of the biggest box office bombs of 2018 was, guess what? Wrinkle in Time, which was not only directed by a woman, but she was also a woman of color, and it lost money. It lost millions of dollars. Now, the reason why was because it was a bad film. It wasn't well made. It wasn't well directed. Maybe part of the reason was because she got the gig for no other reason other than the fact that she fit a certain demographic that Disney was trying to get out there. I don't know. Again, I wasn't the one in the room that made the decision, but for you trying to say that this is arbitrary, and rather for you trying to say that this is, you know, correlative, saying like, oh, well, this is happening because of sexism. No. In fact, let's look at some real numbers. So again, you're going to choose like the biggest earning films of the past decade, and now we're going to show you that there's this rampant sexism in Hollywood, and that's the reason why women aren't being directed or aren't being chosen to be directors. Well, you know, let's look at the actual numbers. Let's look at the most recent year, 2018 alone. So in 2018, a crap ton of movies came out. In fact, by my numbers, by my counting, just here on Wikipedia, so obviously take it with a grain of salt, could be a little more, could be a little less, obviously depends on what you count as a movie. This, to me, is a list that's pretty good, because it does include movies released on services like Netflix, for example, and so it seems like it's pretty generous. It seems to me like it's a pretty good number to indicate just how many movies were released, and the number was around 262 films in 2018 alone. And so then the question needs to be asked, okay, well, let's see, just, you know, is it really the dark ages of film when it comes to representation? Is it truly the dark ages of the time? Well, no, obviously it's not, because if you can do anything, if you could do is do a simple Google search and find out actual numbers and actual statistics, you find out that it's totally false. And so by their own volition, again, here, Film School Reject says 81 movies directed by women to look forward to in 2018. Therefore, at least 81 movies were directed by women in 2018. Okay, I'm going to take them for their word by this, seeing that they obviously have a very specific agenda here. They're breaking it down by month about all the different movies coming out every single month that is directed by a woman, because apparently that is the reason, should be the basis for everyone to go see these movies. Oh, you should support these movies because women are underrepresented, and you should support them just because they're women. last time I checked, if you're supporting somebody or choosing somebody or doing anything just because of the race or gender of the person, I'm pretty sure by definition that is you treating or treating or looking at a person for their race or gender. And I thought that was the very definition of racism, sexism. But I mean, I could be wrong on that. I could be completely wrong on that. But again, according to Valerie Edenhofer over at filmrejects.com, filmschoolrejects.com, 81 movies at least were released in 2018 alone. So doing a quick little math, doing just a little bit of math. I mean, obviously, math is a thing, guys, and, facts matter. Facts don't care about your feelings. See, this right here, we're living in the dark ages. Those are all feelings. They're not really based in facts because, once again, you chose statistics that were very arbitrary. You chose a very specific pool of films over a very specific period of time, and also you arbitrarily set what you consider to be a big earning movie. So if you take all of that nonsense out of the equation, if you just look at the facts of how many movies, again, I would say this is the fairest way to look at it. Look at every movie released and every single movie and how it broke down based on male or female directors. And if you break that down with 81 movies being said to be, directed by women, you turn out with a very, very different percent. And so the Time's Up 4% farce is what I'm calling all of this, because it really is a farce. Not only is the number itself disingenuous, but also it is looking at the issue, the so-called issue, in a unrealistic light, because it's ignoring several other factors. So let's actually get to what is the actual number. What is the actual number when you break down just movies as they are released and just looking at the gender of the director, even though that should not bear anything on whether or not you see or support a film. It should be based on, is the film something that you have an interest in seeing? Is the film going to be enough to keep you entertained for an hour and a half, 2 hours, etc.? And when you break this thing down, as I said before, based on that list given by Wikipedia, so again, if you come up with a different number, please give me a source and I will gladly look into it and do the numbers again, but I guarantee you it's going to be at least close to the percentage that I came with. Overall, around 262 films were released in 2018 alone, and of those movies, again, taking the Film School Rejects number of 81 films directed by women in 2018 alone, that would mean that the percentage of movies in 2018 directed by women is not 4%, but is actually over 30%. Over 30%. And of course, they're going to look at that and say, but it should be 50%, it should be 60%, it should be more than that. But here's once again where they begin to just ignore some basic things here. So first off, I think that anyone with any sense, anyone with any understanding of the world would know that men and women are different, right? Yes, okay. And obviously now we live in a world where apparently that's not the case. But no, biologically speaking, men and women are different. Also, not only biologically, but culturally speaking, men and women are different too. They pursue different things. And some people say, well, that's only cultural. No, 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 no. It's both based on cultural and biological reasons. You cannot just completely say it's only cultural for the reason that, women do certain jobs or seek certain occupations. That there's also a biological component to that as well. And you just simply cannot ignore that for your own political purposes. And so when you realize that, you understand that, well, the reason why it's 30% of the movies, which I actually think would, is actually surprisingly high. I thought, honestly, because you're hearing all this hoopla about it and the 4% and the Time's Up, blah, 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 you would expect it to be a lot lower than that. But 30% is actually higher than you would suspect. And so that number actually makes a lot of sense, seeing that women and men choose different occupations. What is a director? A director is someone who is in a position of power, who is going to delegate certain things, is going to tell certain people to do various things. And it's not that women don't do that or don't have an interest in that. Again, 30% of the movies have women doing just that. But if you're going to try and tell me that women are more likely to be in that kind of a position, are going to be more likely to pursue that kind of position, you are ignorant of not only cultural differences, but also biological differences as well. So again, if you are a man, just based on your own biology, you are more likely than not. So again, just because you are a man does not mean you can be a director or will be a director, but just on average, you are more likely going to be in a position where you're going to feel comfortable with telling people what to do, where to stand, things of that nature, and therefore be able to take on that kind of a role. Same thing works with cinematography and all these other areas that they like to point to, try and say, look at all of this hate that exists in all these different regions. No, it's not that hate exists, because as I said before, when it comes to business, to hire somebody or to pay somebody based solely on and have differences based solely on gender and nothing else, or race and nothing else, is already illegal in the United States of America. So if that happens, and if you have proof that it happened, guess what? You can sue, because it is illegal for them to do so. Now, of course, that's not going to be enough, because they're going to want to turn everything on its head and make things really wacko, like really turn things into bizarro world, because they would rather just not look at the facts. So what are the facts? They're right here in front of you. They're right here in front of you. Again, men and women are different. Men and women pursue different career paths. Men and women pursue different roles. You're not going to get to, unless, of course, which is what the whole movement wants, the whole Time's Up movement wants, you're not going to get to a 50-50 split unless you arbitrarily set the standard as such. If you force or pressure companies and pressure studios to get that 50-50 split, then yeah, you might get there, but guess what's going to happen? It means that projects and the directors of those projects are going to be chosen not because of talent, not because of potential, not because of experience, but rather because of a primary reason. In many situations, again, if you're trying to get it from 30 to 50 in a very large way, in a huge movement, it's going to have to be because you've chosen them at that point because mainly their gender. And I'm sorry, but if that is the way that you're choosing things, if that is the way that you are choosing directors for films, the films are going to suffer. And it's not because there is a woman directing the film. It's because if the main reason and main purpose that you've chosen someone is because of their gender, then therefore you are not looking into what they can do, what they have the capacity to do, or I would even dare say even the potential for what they can do in many situations. And therefore you are asking for yourselves to put a project in the hands of somebody who maybe doesn't have that experience that they would need in other situations to be able to put out a good product, and therefore the product's going to suffer. And then, of course, when that happens and people start complaining about it and saying, oh man, these movies suck, they're going to immediately cry, oh, you just say that because it's a woman directing. It's like, no, it's not that at all. It's because there, again, are differences between men and women, culturally and biologically. And also, when you look at the stats, 30% of movies in 2018 alone were directed by women. I would not be surprised if in 2019 that number goes up because you've already had this movement going on for several years now. Now, am I saying that it's a bad thing or that we shouldn't hire women? No. Though, of course, that's what many people are going to take away from this video because they honestly have just no idea what they're talking about. And also, they are just so caught up in their own political agendas that anyone that doesn't agree with them and doesn't jump on their train completely is therefore a hateful and bigoted and just downright awful person. No, what I'm saying here is that this whole movement, this whole concept, and there are people that are buying into this, especially the younger generations who live on social media. They see this and they say, oh my God, there is just so much. And then when you have the Tessa Thompsons who, man, I really like her overall as an actress. I like her performances, but man, this really takes a toll, especially since she's now in the same category as Brie Larson and Bryce Dallas Howard. Again, I've lost respect. I've lost respect because they are now perpetuating a myth. They are perpetuating a lie, just like the people who put out the same women get paid 70 cents on the dollar. No, when you actually break down women and men with the same background, the same education, the same experience at the same job, there is essentially no difference. Again, there is essentially no difference. Now, again, are there certain rare cases where it might happen? Yes, but guess what? If that happens, if a man is paid more than a woman, and the reason why is because of gender, guess what? That is against the law. That is already on the books. But these people don't want to admit that because then guess what? They've got no movement. They've got no purpose in life. At that point, all of their things that they studied in their gender studies courses and everything that they studied and everything that they dedicated their life to very quickly has very little to no meaning whatsoever. So, once again, if you see this number going around, give them the real stats, saying, hey, no, you might be able to say that in your arbitrary list that you put together that only 4% of the biggest movies of the last decade were directed by women. But when you break down the actual numbers, no, it's that 30% of these movies, in 2018 alone, 30% were directed by women, which I think is surprising, seeing that they are crying so much and whining so much. Oh, you can't say that. You can't. Yes, I can, because that's what you're doing. You are whining. If you were saying that we're living in the dark ages of representation in film, and your one statistic that you point to is, oh, but we're talking about big money-making films, especially when you have films out there like A Wrinkle in Time, you really have no ground to stand on whatsoever. So to all the studios out there, don't buy into this nonsense. Don't buy into this movement. This movement is just silly altogether because it was based off of something good. It was based off of trying to call out people who had treated women like garbage. And guess what? That should still happen. If you were mistreated, if you were abused, if you were assaulted, you should call that out and not only just put it on Twitter, but you know what you should do? You should call the cops. And for anyone that might be in the future assaulted, call the cops right away. Get it taken care of, because guess what? You have a much higher chance of receiving justice if you take care of it right away than if you wait 30 years to say, oh, you know what? Maybe something did happen at that time in my history. And I'm not trying to lessen it. I'm not trying to say that it's not as impactful on your life. I'm not trying to say that it shouldn't be discussed. But putting everything out here on Twitter and on social media and everything like that is not going to be nearly as effective unless you actually put things into practice by calling people out as they are. One thing that Hollywood has not done, even though they've bought into the whole Time's Up thing, even though they've bought into all of these things, the Women's March, etc., you have not heard a single one of these women, many of whom are very powerful, are some of the highest paid actors in general, regardless of gender in Hollywood, is that they themselves likely know many men and women who have abused people, who have done countless disgusting things, but are staying silent because they're cowards. That's what it comes down to. They're cowards. It's easy to complain about a non-issue when you have nothing at stake. It's much harder to stand up to the people who have power and actually get something done about it. Anyway, guys, I just had to get my thoughts out on this because it's all nonsense. Again, you can look at and count it for yourself. Maybe I miscounted here. Maybe I missed 1 or 2 movies when I was counting the list overall. Again, it is a lot of movies that came out, but 262 sounds about right for movies that got a wide release or got some kind of a release on a streaming service or something in any given year. And once again, using one of their own sources, using Film School Rejects, they counted 81 of them being directed by women, which is 30%. So I would recommend, if you see anyone with the same nonsense putting the Time's Up 4% farce, which is what it is, go ahead and give them the real numbers, because it's time that all of this nonsense gets put to bed. Anyway, guys, what are y'all's thoughts on this? Do you think that there's some hate going on and oh my God, discrimination and everything? Like, do you buy into this nonsense, or do you, like me, just want to look at the actual facts themselves? And are you like me, where you say, you know what, I don't really care who is the main person on screen, who is behind the screen. All I care about is it a good movie? Is it a good movie that's going to be compelling and that I'm going to want to spend my money on? That's what I and most audience members care about. And now you have a group out there that's trying to, once again, create a non-issue, create a fake issue using fake statistics, or at least baked in statistics. And in the process, what they're doing is they're hurting themselves in the long run. Because as I said before, 30% sounds about right. Men and women are different. Sorry, guys. Trigger warning. Men and women are not the same. Pursue different things, and not just because of cultural biases, but also for biological reasons. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for watching. Please like this video if you did like it, because guess what? There's going to be people that are going to go after this movie, probably get demonetized because you can't say that. You can't go after this. Well, yes, if nonsense is said about this, and this is the film industry, and you are making up numbers, and you are just creating a non-issue, and you're turning all of this into a farce, I will call you out. I will do the numbers, I will break things down and give you something real to look at, and then hopefully you can understand and say, yo, you know what? Yeah, he might be right. He might be right. Because guess what? The gender of the person directing a film has no bearing on how much a film makes. The experience behind the camera, that makes a lot of difference. Anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. Have a wonderful day, and as always, God bless.